I'm Robert Carreau, Executive Director of the Schenectady Foundation, and the Schenectady Foundation first got involved in the flood recovery effort. It was about 2 weeks after the second storm, and the waters had receded, and a lot of the initial emergency effort that was conducted by government agencies and the county, municipalities, and some others had taken place, but there was a lingering question, what happens now? And what was pretty clear was that it was really no one's job to do long-term recovery. So what really sort of sealed the deal for us to be involved and take an interest in this was actually taking a drive down to Rotterdam Junction one afternoon. Got in the car with Mike Scosio from the City Mission, and we just drove around the streets, and were just blown away by what we saw there, and just the condition of the homes, the debris in the streets, and people just kind of struggling to figure out where they need to go now. And it was very obvious that some organizations and some people needed to step forward and take some leadership. So the foundation and a handful of other organizations, including the City Mission, Habitat for Humanity, Catholic Charities, the Schenectady Community Action Program, came together and formed the Flood Recovery Coalition for Schenectady County, and began to try to piece together a way of reaching out to the community, understanding what the people were going to need, the households were going to need to regain their homes and their lives. Well, first and foremost, it brought me, right to ground level in terms of what happens in neighborhoods and communities. I think sometimes people work in organizations, they, in more management positions, they get a little removed from the reality, the situations of what happens at homes and on the street. And because we had to step forward and with starting out with no budget to respond to this event, all of us were hands-on, and the first part of the coalition's work was to conduct a canvassing operation. We went door to door in all of the affected communities. We knocked on at least 200 doors to find out how the families were, was everyone safe, was everyone healthy, what immediate needs did they have, and what kind of assistance did they think they were going to need down the road. So we had to call on volunteers from within organizations, from within the community, and for me, knocking on doors, finding out what was going on in the households and what the families needed was very eye-opening, and you could not turn away when you heard what the needs were about. So for me, it brought me very close, much closer to kind of what these families are facing, and not just in this moment of disaster, but the fact that there was a lot of need there to begin with in some households. And you can imagine having to deal with a flood, your home being either annihilated or significantly destroyed, and how do you rebuild? It's just an overwhelming kind of feeling. When we were canvassing, we set up an operation in the Rotterdam Volunteer Fire Department as one of our locations, and residents could actually come in. And I remember going into the firehouse one day, and there were a couple of residents who were obviously they were expressing their frustration with where they were, and frustration with not being able to make progress, about running into barriers with town government and trying to move forward with their lives. And in stepping into the discussion, first, this is kind of interesting for me. They thought I was part of the government, and so I became the immediate target of their frustration. But when we were able to get past that and calm down, they said, "Well, come down to my house, take a look at this." And I went down to the house, and they showed me what the inside of the house looked like. With all the walls pulled off, all of the sheetrock was off the walls, the house was still in a state of having to dry out. It was in a state of total, totally needing to be rebuilt. But on top of that all, this homeowner had this desire to, and this was probably about, I'd say, the early part of October that this conversation took place, late September, to bring his parents back into the home by Thanksgiving. And to me, at the time, it seemed impossible. I don't know how this is going to happen. It was a great dream, and to get caught up in that was very personally affecting to me. So to see the heart of people wanting to turn their lives around and pitching in to help their neighbors was pretty remarkable. Well, the short of that story was the parents did get back into the home by Thanksgiving, and this gentleman, his name is Norm, who was part of that. He ended up being one of the strongest volunteers for the coalition. After he got done with his house, after we helped him finish his home, he stepped out of that role and took his own time to help his neighbors rebuild. So, you could see what it meant to be impacted, but also what you could accomplish, one person could do with a little bit of help. So, what this whole recovery effort has meant, I think, is gives us a lot of hope for how we can take this momentum and this kind of community building sense that we've developed, this relationships that have been developed between people and organizations, and say, we can accomplish great things. And let's take what we learned from working together in a disaster situation, and take those relationships and that team building and those resources out into our community and do something just as powerful without the kind of this whole struggle of disaster with us. I think we can accomplish great things, and it's a lesson learned about how a community can come together.